What's up, guys? Welcome back. It is well, no point in that intro. I had nothing planned to go there. What's up, guys? This is the Mordecai, and welcome back to another multi-class league event. We'll be racing tonight in Donington, and qualifying just got through, and we are on the formation lap, and we're about to get started here. So going through the grid, we have Robin Borden starting us off in P1, followed by Charles Saylor, followed by Doug Welzel, P3. If you can tell, I am a little tongue twisted tonight because, as you can see, our friend Nick King will not be here tonight, unfortunately. But you know what, Nick, we miss you, man, and have a safe trip, my man. So we'll see Nick back next week again, and hopefully one more time for the season finale in 2 weeks. But anyways, so far, quali went good. We have a little bit of a shortage there with GT4 drivers tonight. But you know what? I think the battle between Harrison Lynn and Jeff Bray is definitely going to get along, and it's gonna develop a lot more tonight. So we're just gonna cycle through everyone really quickly. Kind of surprising to see Clark in P4. That's not one that we typically see running in the back. So I think tonight's going to be a little bit interesting for him, especially being followed by Joel Dallas. That's going to be a tough one for him, especially. Joel's brand new event tonight. He is joining us for the first time, so we're going to see what Joel's made of tonight. Hopefully he can push Clark and challenge for the top spot there with Robin. It'll also be fun to see him running next to Carter there with the Jensen Team Rocket liveries. So moving up with Robin as we head down the line. And we are almost green. Wait for it. There we go. Now we're green, guys, and we're racing in Donington for Season 4, Event number 4. This is the multi-class league, and you have Robin Borden maintaining his lead, followed by Charles, Clark, and Doug. Forgive me there. It's a little bit of a different start tonight, as it looks like Joel Dallas is challenging there with Clark, and he has overtaken him. Gonna move further on in the grid a bit. We are starting to bunch up a bit. Charles is challenging Robin. Doug maintaining that P3, but pardon, it looks like it's Carter who's taken over Clark. Clark being sandwiched in by those two McLarens. Christopher Greer close behind on Joel. Charles attempting to move down the inside. Coming into the chicane, he's going to be on the outside. It's not going to be enough. So far, we get away clean. The McLaren and the Ferrari make a bit of contact. Carter close, getting up ahead on Doug. And it looks like Clark is now challenging that battle as well. Again, more contact between Carter and Doug. Carter has seemed to spun out Doug. Jonathan Corkle and Joe Dallas getting away cleanly. Looks like Clark will be able to fight for that P2 slot after all. And it seems like the two cars that spun are still in the back. And we have two cars in the pits. It looks like that was the Lamborghini of James Turnbull and the Ferrari of Doug. Something I've noted previously is that the battle for first through third does tend to get spread out a bit. So we're going to move on into the back of the grid. Joel out for his first event, doing well. Jonathan Corkle and Aiden Benitez fighting it out at the moment. It looks like Jonathan was able to get a faster exit as they went in wheel to wheel. They are currently being followed by Nick Smoley. Moving further down the grid. Steve Fisher moving on in P8. He's doing a great job of staying ahead of Dan Lee. And it looks like Carter Close has caught up. He is currently being overtaken by Davin Sturdivant. If I were Davin, I'd be crying right now knowing that Carter is up behind. Mr. Universe down the inside. Fortunately for Davin, they got away cleanly. Davin's going to get a tow right behind Carter. And it looks like we have James Turnbull exiting the pit lane at the moment. It's going to be a tough entry for him. I see no yellow flag, so I think we've got away cleanly. Unfortunately for Davin, he has lost out positions to Carter. Checking back in the front, Robin running with clean air, followed by Charles Saylor, Clark Muller, and Joel Dallas. Pretty much open space at the moment, while Jonathan Corkle leads the pack for P5. Very wide there for Aiden Benitez, very aggressive. Seems like Jonathan Corkle is holding him back at the moment. Attempted to have a look down the inside, rethought it, made it, going wide. He's pushing track limits a bit. He's giving back the position, but now that's opened up the room for Nick Smoley to get through. Getting a lot of tow from that Lexus. It looks like Nick is making the move on the inside. Jonathan Corkle with the switchback. Unfortunately for Nick Smoley, he did outbrake himself. A lot of speed with that Porsche, but Jonathan Corkle will not let that move happen again. Defensive on the inside there for Jonathan Corkle in P5. So far, looking ahead, it looks like the leaders are maintaining their positions. Right now, our biggest race is for P5. That's good. That's a great job there by Jonathan Corkle. These guys are very fast tonight. They're also very aggressive. As you can see, they're getting a lot of dirt in through the apex of the chicane. Something tells me that with a 30-minute race, they are being very aggressive, but I don't know how well those tires are going to last them if they continue to push the cars this way. We might start to see them lose a lot of grip, and that might lead to a lot of messy events. Aiden Benitez learned his lesson from the previous lap. He is not attempting to move down the inside from that far. That is a very risky lunge. So as this battle has sort of started to wind down, we're just going to move up ahead with the leaders one more time. So far, so good. Robin Borden maintaining his lead, followed by Charles Saylor and Clark Muller, which honestly, that is something that we could have easily predicted from the start of this race. These guys have continuously shown a lot of pace from the previous events. Our new addition here, Joel Dallas, doing a fantastic job of maintaining pace, and hopefully throughout the race we see him bridge the gap to Clark. Jonathan still doing a great job of defending Nick Smoley. Nick Smoley not being able to find a window to get through. Jonathan Corkle maintaining that foot flat. Definitely not allowing that Porsche any amount of space to be able to close any sort of gap. Let's hope these guys maintain their positions once we check back on them again so we don't miss any of this action. We're going to move a little further back as we see Carter Close is in P11. He's lost a lot of positions there, but not as much as Doug, which unfortunately it looks like he's running P21 at the moment. Steve Fisher, another one of our Lexus bros, fighting with Dan Lee at the moment. It's a great job keeping good distance from Dan. Aiden Benitez making a move down the inside, decides to back away. Nick Smoley Unfortunately going wide one more time, opening the spot. But as we saw before, a lot of exit speed from that Porsche. He had great positioning on the outside to put himself on the inside line. Dan Lee going wide. Seems like he might be showing a little more pace than Steve Fisher. We're going to need to see a little more consistency from Dan to be able to make a move. Steve Fisher giving Dan Lee enough room to get by. Vicente da Silva and Carter close as well. They're going side by side. Almost made contact with Carter. It's hard to say on who was the aggressive one there. I think both of them equally fought the position. I don't think Steve is going to give it up, but Davin Sturdivant, our third Lexus bro, is right behind him. Looks like Dan Lee is going to have a tough time now. Bit of oversteer as it looks like Vicente da Silva is going to bridge the gap in the Bentley. Dan Lee on the inside, very aggressive from Vicente, getting really close to the back of that NSX. Corkle ahead of Smoley, ahead of Benitez. Great move by Carter Close at taking advantage of the Bentley over-braking behind the NSX. Carter Close is hunting down those positions. We're going to keep strolling on back a little further. This battle is getting hot, but let's view what our midfield is up to. Davin Sturdivant has closed the gap to Steve Fisher. Pete Stepani away from the Aston gang at the moment. Sly oversteer from him as he is followed by Rob Ruggiero. Hopefully this time we don't see an accident there for Rob. Unfortunate what happened in Zandvoort, but I think tonight he has a lot of pace and he's coming out with a lot more speed. And unfortunately for Davin Sturdivant, that is a drive-through. It's possible he has avoided track limits. Going wheel to wheel, Ruggiero and Stepani. Stepani on the inside, not giving it up. Ruggiero doing a great job of keeping the wheels on the inside of the track. And it looks like Mike Smith is about to get involved into this battle. Mike Smith, we haven't seen in quite a bit, but he's back in the Lexus and he's quickly as ever. Pete, Rob, and Mike doing a great job following each other. Hopefully we see a bit more racing from these guys. It looks like Mike had a look on the inside, decided it was not enough, and decided to pull back. That Aston of Pete Stepani is definitely going wide, something we've seen from Nick Smoley. The cars are very different fundamentally, but unfortunately that was bad braking. And oh no, Nick Smoley, Jonathan Corkle, Dan Lee all cut out. Martin Warmington having to go wide to avoid contact. Let's find out what happened with these folks. Jonathan Corkle followed by Nick Smoley. Bit of a tap from Nick, bit of a tap from Aiden, and we just all concertinaed into each other. A shame, but it happens. We've already seen the same type of braking from Pete Stepani and I believe Vicente da Silva, unless that was Dan Lee. But we've seen that within that last sector in those last few turns, and this is an unfortunate sight, but a familiar one. Nick Smoley off track looking to rejoin with a lot of damage. That's a shame for Nick. But as we mentioned earlier, these guys are very aggressive tonight. They're being extremely liberal with the track limits, and unfortunately, that might mean that they are over-braking into the turns. Back in with the leaders, Robin maintaining his lead so far. Charles quickly behind, but he has lost a lot of time. Clark as well, we see that they are equally spaced out. although the gap has increased between the three of them. The only different here are one outliers, Joel Dallas, who has gained a lot of time on Clark. Hopefully for him, when we check back once more, he'll be a lot closer to take that position. Vicente da Silva right now being our biggest winner tonight when it comes to the accident lottery. Moving up into P5, gaining a lot of positions, not only from Carter Close and Dan Lee, as well as Jonathan Corkle and Nick Smoley. Steve Fisher as well, our current highest Lexus Pro. I'm sure it hurt him a bit to see Jonathan Corkle fall back so much, but fortunately for these guys, they were able to avoid any amount of contact as they have come across now the GT4 of Bruce Hopkins as Steve Fisher gets a better exit. That's unfortunate there for Vicente da Silva being stuck behind the Camaro. A little bit of contact between the Bentley and the Lexus. That's going to push Steve Fisher a lot further out. Honestly, I'm very scared for that poor little Camaro stuck in between. And he gets pushed out a little wide by Steve Fisher. As he's starting to see the traffic there as Rob Ruggiero, Mike Smith, Carter Close, Aiden Benitez follow behind him. And it looks like Paul Del Mundo is going wide and has beached that Audi, unfortunately. So we do have a yellow flag in Sector 1, but it's going to be all clear as he is off the track. So we're going to keep on racing. That's just fun commentary. Obviously, nothing would happen. We're going to move on a little further. Let's see what's going on with the pack. Aiden Benitez, unfortunately, losing out positions in P10. Pete Stepani bridging the gap to his Aston gang member. If you're not familiar with the reference, we had a fun event last weekend in Zandvoorts as all the Astons decided to group up on the final laps. Jonathan Corkle now racing with Dan Lee, followed by Martin Warmington. And again, it's unfortunate, but we see Jonathan Corkle having to move back a lot of positions due to contact. I believe once more it was not his fault, but unfortunately the battles have been very aggressive these last few races. Someone we haven't seen much of, and unfortunately we come at the wrong time, Bill Shaw. It looks like he's moved down to P24. He was a lot higher on my list here. So currently running now in his previous spot of P15, we have Doug Welzel. Doug having moved back 12 positions from the initial contact with Carter. Doug is fighting it back, but it's going to be a hard one tonight, Doug. Jason Ouellette close behind, trying to get around the Camaro of Bruce Hopkins as he's followed by James Turnbull. And we have our man, Lucky Leonard Cachola in P18 close behind. Ed Berger slipping back a bit. Giancarlo Lenzi, unfortunately, in an unfamiliar position. That's it's not a typical place that we see Giancarlo. Hopefully coming up in event number 2, we do see him a bit more competitive. Davin Sturdivant having lost out to the drive-thru. What is going on with Paul Del Mundo? That is, I don't know what to call that. Let's find out what Paul was thinking. Now, typically, I'm not one to call out drivers, but this is the second accident we've seen caused by Paul. And again, a similar issue from what we saw. It looks like he, to his credit, he did try to He did try to get out of the way, but unfortunately his reaction was a bit late. Similar incident to what we saw in Zandvoort with Clark Muller. It seems like he's a little late on the brakes post-accident, and that's a lot of time to process, and that's a lot of time to take to process something when you only have a couple seconds to get out of the way. So that is unfortunate for Davin. Robin Borden maintaining his lead, currently ahead of Charles. And it looks like Joel has gained positions, and he's moved up into P3. From the looks of it, though, Clark Muller has lost out quite a bit, although at the moment he is running behind the back markers of Bill Shaw and Thomas Knudsen, as it looks like he's overtaken Knudsen in the GTR. It's possible that within the confusion of the traffic, Joel Dallas saw his move and made it. Fantastic job there as he decided to wait and snipe the position. Vicente fighting it out for position with Rob Ruggiero. These two guys have definitely shown tonight being very consistent and just taking advantage of the aggressiveness and everyone else over driving tonight. Typically what we see is that event number 2 is very aggressive. A very huge step up from event number 1. So I'm kind of scared what's going to happen in the next 20 minutes in the next 15 minutes as we move on to event number 2. We're going to step back from this battle slightly while we wait for the chicane. Not enough. Rob decided to pull away. That's a great job. Understanding the brake limits and knowing what's possible. I don't want to leave them just yet. Overcooking it one more time in that Bentley, unfortunately. And I think that's possible that they have all lost grip in the tires. From what we saw in the few laps, they were very aggressive through the turns. It's all possible that they were all scrubbing those tires pretty aggressively, and that has led to a loss of grip. Rob Ruggiero is gaining a lot of time. I don't really think it's an issue of the Bentley, as we've seen that with the Aston and the Porsche as well. Although he is gaining a lot of time. And someone we haven't covered tonight thus far, but I quickly saw him on screen right now, is Harrison Lynn, who is running in P1 for our GT4 class. Harrison, a very great driver, and not one to let the GT3s bully him around, so we're going to see how he handles the traffic of Vincent Da Silva and Rob Ruggiero. It looks like Vicente is moving on the inside. Unfortunately for Rob, that means he's going to have to hold back behind the GT4. Harrison getting a great tow from the Bentley. Here comes Rob moving on the inside. Harrison might allow him to get through. We saw previously Vicente overcooked it. Definitely going wide. It looks like Rob is chasing a bit. He's following the similar line. It doesn't look like he might have enough space to make the move just yet. Harrison Lynn doing a great job of managing this traffic as Steve Fisher follows behind him with Mike Smith. Harrison Lynn having to let him pass. It looked like Steve was very aggressive and took control of the turn early on. This is going to give a bit of a challenge for Mike Smith as he now has to overtake him, allowing Steve Fisher to get a lot of room away from Mike. Mike is definitely a very clinical and safe driver, so we are not going to see him make an aggressive move as we see him go side to side, but he's pulling back slightly. Harrison won't give back the position. I think Mike is in a situation right now where he's going to have to take control in the GT3. Harrison Lynn is a very aggressive driver, and he's not going to give up that position. Regardless if you're in P1 or P20, he's going to race you. It is the responsibility of the GT3, so we're going to have to see Mike make the move. Harrison Lynn finally deciding it's the right place to let him go. As we see Carter Close now racing with Mike Smith. We have the Master and the Apprentice going head-to-head tonight. We're going to move up and watch this battle. Carter taking that inside line. We saw what dangers that led. It looks like Mike gave him enough room. Mike, though, not deciding to let it go this time. He is going to fight it back, moving on the inside. And we see contact. Unfortunately for Mr. Universe, it looks like that is something we've seen a lot of him tonight. And unfortunately for Aiden Smith, he does get caught out as Harrison Lynn was avoiding any sort of other contact as he himself was caught out in that scuff as well. Mike Smith, though he was involved, it looks like he did have the best exit. Unfortunately for Mr. Universe, though, that is a hard one to fight on his behalf. Jonathan Corkle getting ahead now as they are racing for position. And I think we're going to see a lot of attrition from these guys as they've both lost out incredibly tonight. And with the amount of contact, I don't believe they're going to be any less aggressive as they're going to fight back to get the positions they've already lost. And it's a very tricky place to be, especially when you get into your head. It's just like, you know, you've already lost. There's nothing else to lose. And, you know, you're in this send it mentality. And unfortunately for everyone else, that's kind of, that's unfortunate for them because they do get caught out in the accidents, as we saw from Harrison Lynn. But a fantastic move by Carter Close as he kept it flat out through that chicane and definitely decided to be later on the brakes than Jonathan Corkle. Jason Ouellette right behind Martin Warmington. Martin Warmington overcooking on the brakes, allowing Jason Ouellette to get by. Dan Lee right there with him. You guys thought we lost Dan. We have not. Dan making a move on Martin Warmington. Not quite side to side, but we're going to see them come into the turn together. Dan being a lot smarter, deciding to back off. And I must commend Doug, losing out from P3, still maintaining in the race after we saw him briefly in the pit. So fantastic job by Doug. I don't think anybody would have judged him for deciding to retire the car, as he is fighting now with Dan Lee. Doug moving on the inside. Almost overcooked it, not enough. Following him right on his bumper. Doug aiming to get a good toe, deciding to break it early. Dan Lee moving back to the racing line. Fantastic job by Dan. That took a lot of guts to pull that close move, as he was not too sure how close Doug was. Doug trying to take the inside line. Will he overcook it? Dan Lee going for the switchback. Doug overcooking it, going wide. Fantastic job by Dan Lee, as now James Turnbull is right behind him. And it looks like Dan Lee is now fighting with that same pressure as he takes it wider. James Turnbull just hanging back, watching these two fight. Any sort of contact, James is right there knocking on that door. We are going to slightly break away from the action as we are going to catch up with our leaders. So far, Robin Borden maintaining his lead, followed by Charles Saylor. Unfortunately, for Joel Dallas, it looks like Clark Muller has taken back the position as we see him get past the Aston of John Correa, as he's being followed by Christopher Greer. Unfortunately for Greer, it looks like he is a back marker at this point. I wonder what would have happened. As we quickly look at the pits, we see Davin and Pete. Unfortunately, Davin does look like he did retire earlier in the race. Moving a little back, we see Joel about to lap the Ferrari of Shell. Vicente da Silva still fighting it out with Rob Ruggiero, followed by Steve Fisher. We did leave this battle earlier, and it looks like it is still going on. Great job by Vicente holding back Rob, as we've seen them fight back this entire race. Unfortunately for Rob, that means that he has lost a lot of time to Steve Fisher, and they have lost a lot of time to P4 from Joel Dallas. At this moment, Rob needs to make a move on Vicente. If not, he will lose out to Steve Fisher. I think it's time that Steve sticks his elbows out and gets that Bentley to move out the way, as we see that Boatley is using every space on track, making that car much bigger than it is. Just not enough space for Rob Ruggiero to make a lunge. Great job sticking it with him through the chicane, but he's losing a lot of time on exit. And here comes Steve Fisher making the move. We've seen it time and time again. Will he be able to stop enough? He's going very tight. Fantastic job by Steve Fisher as he's gotten ahead of Rob Ruggiero. We can see Steve positioning that Lexus. Not going to go for the move just yet. If he can be very tight once more, he might have the exit speed on the Bentley. That's unfortunate for Rob, but fantastic move by Steve as he saw these two guys battling and just came in and took the spot. Right now, if I were Rob, I'd be planning a move to overtake as well, as he knows that Steve is going to get past the Bentley. It'd be a great move to grab a tow from the Lexus and overtake as well, having pushed out the Bentley, and they all go wide. It seems like everyone tonight is chasing each other. A little bit of contact there, but I don't think it was much to complain about, as Rob makes the move and takes it from Steve Fisher. We're going to catch up one more time with our leaders as we go ahead and start the final lap. Robin Borden and Harrison Land both in the same shot. Fantastic job as they both lead both classes tonight. Charles Saylor catching up to Robin Borden. On the final lap, it's going to be an interesting chase here as we go ahead and follow them for the remainder of this race as they try to bring it home. Robin Borden having no competition tonight in event number 1. Charles Saylor, unfortunately, not having the same amount of space. We did see him there catch up a lot, as he's a lot later on the brakes, and unfortunately for Robin, this might mean he might make a move in the last couple turns. He's not going to send it just yet. It's going to come down to this penultimate corner. Going a little wide there for Charles Saylor, trying to get that inside line. Coming into the final turn. It looks like he just went a little too wide there, had to brake harder. But as they cross the line, there it is. Robin Borden in P1 and Charles Saylor P2. Clark being a little further behind this time, but he will finish P3 ahead of Joel Dallas. And it looks like Christopher Greer had a little bit of a spin there. And in his first event for Sim Racing 604, we have Joel Dallas in the McLaren, bringing it home for P4. One more time, and it looks like Rob Ruggiero has managed to pass the Bentley as we come across the line. No, Rob Ruggiero going a little too wide. He's going to lose the position. Steve Fisher trying to take it from him as well. Fantastic job by Vicente da Silva keeping his position in P5, followed by Steve Fisher P6, and unfortunately for Rob Ruggiero moving down into P7, being ahead 2 positions into that final corner. That's got to hurt a little for him, but great racing as we see Mike Smith in P8 ahead of his apprentice Carter Close. It looks like this time around the Master was the victor. And unfortunately, everyone has kind of clouded up here. But before we see others leave, we have Aiden Benitez, P10, Doug, P11, Jonathan Corkle, unfortunately losing out to P12, Jason Willett, P13, James Turnbull, P14, Dan Lee, P15. Let's see if we can't catch any others crossing the line. And we see it one more time, guys. It happened at Monza, and it happened at Donington. It's possible that Martin Warmington has run out of fuel once more. That's an unfortunate sight. I don't think he'd give up the position that easily like that. As, we see a couple more cars. I believe actually the session has ended. So let's hope that, nope, Nick Smoley's still driving. So it doesn't look like now the session has ended. So it's possible that they just decided to retire early and not cross the line. So it is possible if they were all lapped. So my bad there, Martin. Let's hope you didn't run out of fuel. Might have called it a little too early in my excitement. But so far, that was a fantastic drive. These guys have really put in a great show for us tonight as we go ahead and wait for the server to reset as we go into event number 2. And as you see a message there from Pete Stepani, it looks like he has lost connection, but I don't know if he's able to rejoin one more time, but let's hope he does. All right, guys, so I have been talking for a bit, so I'm going to take just a quick 2-minute break, and we'll reset here, and we'll come back one more time for event number 2. So stick around because it always gets more aggressive. And so we've seen them tonight. They've been fighting it out, and I don't think that's going to stop as we saw last time around in Zandvoort. So I'll be right back, guys, and enjoy some tunes while I'm gone. All right, guys, I am back. We are back. Moving on to event number 2 as we have 45 seconds before the formation lap begins. Let's go ahead and decompress and talk a little bit about this past event. It was kind of crazy. Nick, buddy, I miss you. It was definitely not the same without you, my guy. But yeah, we saw a similar thing as we've seen so far in season 4, and as what we saw in season 3. Robin Borden just dominating. He is so far unmatched.
10 seconds.
If anybody decides to graduate into the championship league, I definitely do think Robin Borden is one that has my vote. I hope not, because I mean, this guy is quick, so he's I think he's great to watch, but I think for his sake, I think maybe moving up would be something to consider for season 5. As well for Charles Saylor and Clark Muller. These guys are very consistent, very quick, and they don't let up. So thus far, Robin Borden unmatched in the Porsche. Charles Saylor as well. Unfortunately for Charles, he's pardon the comment here, but unfortunately for Charles, he has been the Bottas to Robin's Hamilton. And Clark Muller, well, dare I say it, Mr. Verstappen. If you're an F1 fan, welcome. If not, pardon. So I do think that we will continue to see that similar pattern into event number 2. We have seen Robin make mistakes before. And it's definitely hard to catch up, as once you're stuck in the midfield, it's not an easy place to get through. So far, the only person we've seen able to do it so well has been Christopher Greer. And it looks like he has retired from event number 2. And that's somewhat understandable. It looked like he had a tough go at it in event number 1. Usually a guy with a lot of pace being lapped and being caught out in a lot of accidents that can quickly affect you race-wise. And, well, Chris, we hope to see you back next week. But I think Doug is definitely not going to lose out positions this time. And I think he's going to be counting on Clark there to make sure he blocks Carter, as we saw them make contact within the second to last turn in event number 1. Same there for Corkle, Carter, Doug. I think these guys are going to be very aggressive coming into turn 1. They are going to attempt to get those positions back. Not going to lie, I'm kind of scared. If mispronounce anything, well, I apologize before, because I feel like it's about to get tricky. Unless I'm wrong, and this time they decide to be safer into event number 1. But I doubt that's the case. And here we are, across the line. That's a large lead from Robin Borden. Not sure what Charles was doing as he dropped back. Doug going side to side with Clark. It looks like one of the McLarens deciding to sandwich it up. So far, so good. And it looks like Doug has pushed out Clark. As I said, these guys are going to be aggressive, fighting back those positions. We quickly saw Doug already take off track the Porsche of Clark Muller. And it looks like that McLaren is pushing up on the inside of Doug. And there it is. As I said, Doug, Aiden, dare I say it, Carter close. Yep, number 3, Carter. Unfortunately, same thing as before, and it looks like Bill Schott getting caught out. Charles Saylor in P10, now behind Steve Fisher. And there it is, guys. P1 and P2 having their race one more time, just the 2 of them. Now, that is a little disappointing to see, because, we want to see these guys fight it out and have a second attempt, as that is always the purpose of having, at least I believe, the purpose of having multiple events is to be able to fix the mistakes in event number 1. But when you come back in it with the same mentality and the same aggression, it doesn't work out. So that's unfortunate for everybody else. But for Robin Borden and Charles Saylor, this means they will be able to have a rematch Moving on back now as the grid sorts itself out. Joel Dallas, fantastic job by Joel. As we noted before, when you're consistent and you wait for it, you analyze the drivers, you gain positions. So Joel now moving up into P3. That's a great job, and let's hope he maintains that consistency and is able to bridge the gap there to our leaders. Going behind him, Jonathan Corkle, great job. Looks like he's gained 2 positions. As now we see Giancarlo Lenzi a lot more aggressive in event number 2, quickly followed by Clark Muller. Clark not sustaining too much damage, definitely wanting his position back, going wheel to wheel. So far no contact, attempting a move on the inside, not enough as we see Steve Fisher going wheel to wheel with the Bentley losing out. Now Nick Smoley getting through, Rob Giugiero right behind him. And it looks like it won't be enough. Adam Heller close behind. We didn't see him too much before. It looks like Giancarlo Lenzi is fighting it out with Clark Muller. So far, so good, maintaining a good distance. Not too aggressive, but right behind him. Dan Lee getting mixed up into the fight as well. Everyone keeping a tight braking zone as it looks like they are getting closer to Joel Dallas. Joel's going to have to pick it up if he doesn't want to get involved with these guys. We're going to move a little back. Vicente da Silva. Steve Fisher going wide, unfortunately, opening the room for Rob Ruggiero. It looks like Adam Heller is getting involved. Adam getting right behind Rob. Davin getting ahead of Steve Fisher. And it looks like Mike Smith with the overtake on Steve as well. Now it's up to James Turnbull. Will he be able to also make the move on Steve? It looks like Ed Berger, Conrad Abbott right behind him. One more time with Jonathan Corkle as now Giancarlo Lenzi has bridged the gap. Definitely putting pressure. I believe he's playing a lot of mind games with Corkle. He's keeping that toe, but putting that headlight right on his rear view mirror. He's letting them know he's there. Fantastic move by Giancarlo Lenzi as he follows right on the bumper of that Lexus. Looks like he got a little afraid there as we're coming into the chicane, pulling back just a bit. Something we saw in event number 1 through the penultimate corner. Everyone overcooking it as they decide to defend the position. We quickly saw them all abandon their lines as they felt the pressure from the car behind. So far, everyone has enough grip in those tires, but we're going to quickly see that grip start to fall off if they carry the same type of aggressive driving we've seen thus far. Great exit by Giancarlo Lenzi as he hunts down Jonathan Corkle. We're going to quickly switch to the leaders one more time. Robin Borden getting a lot more distance from Charles Saylor. Unfortunately for Charles, he's going to have to stare at the rear of that Porsche a little longer. Joel Dallas maintaining his clean air, but Jonathan Corkle, no, Jonathan Corkle, unfortunately, he might have had contact. We're going to go ahead and watch one more time. Giancarlo Lenzi, as we last saw them, he was doing a great job of following on. I believe they might have gone wheel to wheel. Not up. There it is. And it's the contacts. That's unfortunate for Jonathan Corkle. It seemed like he was slowing down a lot more. So unfortunately, it seemed like he took that chicane with a lot of entry speed, and he had to brake in order to maintain himself on track. And Giancarlo just taking equally amount of speed and coming into that rear end of that Lexus. As now we see Jonathan Corkle falling down to P15 as he's overtaken by Jonathan Turnbull. Steve Fisher right behind Adam Heller. And it looks like he's being sandwiched now by Mike Smith. Fantastic driving, very aggressive, very entertaining. Davin Sturdivant losing positions, not only to Steve Fisher. What a move by Steve Fisher. Let's go ahead and watch that. That was fantastic driving by Steve. He quickly saw that Huracan of Adam Heller going wide, grabbing the toe. As he was getting pressure from Mike Smith, it looks like that Huracan did push out Davin. And Steve Fisher right there in the perfect spot to make the move and get away cleanly. That's unfortunate for Davin as he was the one to lose out. Mike Smith, great job avoiding contact, but there you go, guys. Keep it clean, you get the spot. Obviously, that's not always true, but it has been tonight, so who knows? Let's reset and just catch up with the leaders. So far, so good. Robin in his own race, followed by Charles. We do have a car having spun out. I don't want to say any names, and I'm not going to, but I have a feeling. Clark Muller not catching up yet to Joel Dallas, but he is losing time to Dan Lee. A little bit of understeer from Dan. Oh, a lot of oversteer. Nick Smalley right behind. Down the inside. Not enough. Don't overcook it, Nick. Keep it nice and consistent. Giancarlo right behind Rob. Yep, Dan Lee is definitely looking at his rearview mirrors and not the track at the moment. Nick Smalley putting on the pressures. If he doesn't overcook it like we saw before, he might have a good exit speed as he hugs the inside. Transitioning over. That might have lost him a bit, but I believe he's trying to get on the inside line of Dan. Dan having to have lost a lot of grip apparently because he does take the outside line. And it looks like Rob Ruggiero catching a bit of oversteer as Giancarlo Lenti gets ahead. Dan Lee defending from Nick Smalley. Dan goes wide, and Nick on the inside. Dan definitely overdriving that NSX. These two guys are being very aggressive. I fear that we might see some contact. And my bet is on Vicente da Silva being able to make the move and gain 2 spots at once. If my theory is correct, Dan pushing Nick out a little bit. There's the contact. There's Vicente da Silva. There it is, guys. Oh, no. I called it too soon. Unfortunately, I don't believe that was Vicente's fault. That was a lot of pressure from Nick, and that has lost Vicente 4 positions. I do think in that case, had Nick just decided to pull back slightly, Vicente would have been the real winner of that fight. But for the moment, it is Nick. Now, I have said it previously, but as this is the Fun League, we do not see penalties, so that definitely allows these guys to drive as aggressive as they are. Unfortunately, for the ones who maintain a clean race, that we do see them lose out, unfortunately. Aiden Benitez in the pits. I believe we saw him in some sort of a fight earlier. Hopefully that is not a retirement. But it is odd for one of these guys to pit unless he just had too much damage. Nick Small going very wide. We're seeing a lot of oversteer from that NSX. I'm going to pull away really quickly. Just check up on the leaders ahead. Giancarlo getting really close behind. I don't want to break away from this fight. Giancarlo, hopefully he makes a clean move, as we saw Bruce Hopkins in the distance, in the sand. That's unfortunate for him. All right, it looks like Giancarlo has given himself a little bit more distance. And there's Bruce Hopkins after his mistake through the chicane. Giancarlo not making a move, a bit of contact from Dan and Nick. Giancarlo now making contact, and we have a train. There it is. Great job by Vicente and Steve Fisher getting around Giancarlo and Dan. Vicente going around Bruce Hopkins. Bruce going wide. As the GT3s get away cleanly, we're going to go ahead and check with the leaders. Robin Borden maintaining the lead, followed by Charles Saylor with Joel Dallas. Great job keeping that distance and keeping that clean air. Great and solid drive from him in both events so far. Clark Muller catching up a lot now that he doesn't have the pressure of Dan Lee behind him. Dan Lee getting caught up with the racing behind him, as we saw him pressured by Nick Smoley. Clark still has quite a bit of time to bridge the gap to Joel. We're going to catch up with these guys one more time later on in the race, as Nick Smoley attempts to make the move around John Correa. Fortunately for John, it's a clean pass. I was not a fan of the GT4s going into this league, but as I've seen the extreme prejudice from the GT3s, I am now right behind them, as we see a lot of action right behind them. We're going to go on Pete Stepani. That's the one car I'm able to quickly see, or Conrad Abbott. Let's find out what happened. These guys, this is a little out of character for these guys tonight, as they are very aggressive. Bruce Hopkins getting away cleanly for all the GT3s. We're all bunching up here, and unfortunately that accident was caused by the GT4, just as I was on their defense. But honestly, I believe I still can be. That's just a tricky position to be in, especially for him. He was on the outside, but while the GT3s were all racing for positions, we've seen this time and time again where the GT3 will attempt to make the overtake on the car ahead behind the GT4, and it never works out. It hasn't yet, and I don't think that it will. Aggressive entry from Conrad. I'm sure he's steaming right now. Let's watch that one more time from the perspective of Bruce Hopkins. And it looks like we are a little too far ahead now to be able to watch that back. I did see that pre-race, Bruce was looking to make the move into the GT3 class, but as the server rules, once the season has started, you are not allowed to change cars. So that's I'm sure that's going to play a huge factor in his car selection for next season, as he came into this race not wanting to continue in the GT4, and now having been caught out in this huge accident with the GT3s, I think that's going to only solidify his decision. So once we come back into our live view, we're going to go ahead and check up on our leaders. So far, Robin Borden is maintaining his lead away from Charles Saylor. Charles still not able to catch up to Robin, and Robin has definitely dominated tonight. It shows that Donington is his track. Joel Dallas so far gaining a lot of time away from Clark. They will get involved with some GT4 traffic coming up, as Nick Smoley gets around Jeremiah Daly in the GT4. Vicente De Silva still defending from Steve Fisher, as we see Dan Lee has caught up now in P8. We have seen these guys race all throughout the night, and with 13 minutes left, there is no end in sight, aside from the race ending in 13 minutes, of course. Steve aiming to make a move on the outside. We saw that transition to defend from Vicente. And I was mistaken earlier. Christopher Greer still on track. I believe that is his Ferrari following Dan Lee. We are going to go across the grid just a little more. That is Christopher Greer in P9. ACC leaderboard's a little weird. It's hard to navigate sometimes. But that's great. We haven't lost Christopher just yet. And here we go again with Jeremiah Daly now getting involved within the GT3 traffic. Steve Fisher hopefully making a clean move. Same with Dan Lee, as now Christopher Greer is involved. And as we've seen this season, that's just the difficulty of being in a GT4. These GT3 cars tend to separate throughout the track into groups, and it's a lot of cars to allow to pass in one go. As Davin Sturdivant is leading the race in P10. Right behind him, James Turnbull, Mike Smith, and Giancarlo Lenzi. Adam Heller not too far behind them. It's been unfortunate tonight for Davin, as we've seen him in both events getting caught out in a lot of damage. And as you can see, that's a lot of braking for that Lexus to make the turn. The Huracan very aggressive. James Turnbull not making it easy tonight. Definitely carrying a larger stick than Davin, not afraid to use it. And once more, Jeremiah Daly will be subject to 4 cars attempting to overtake on this lap. Mike Smith getting a great line. It's almost like a pack of lions chasing a baby gazelle. Jeremiah Daly behind the GT3s. Not a right place to make the pass. Unfortunately for Jeremiah, that's gonna send him out. It's a hard place to let him through. And as we've seen so far, the GT3s attempt to pass wherever it is. There's very little discretion on the turning points. I think something that would be a bit hard, but something that would help the multi-class league is to allow sections in which it is allowed to pass a GT4. That would definitely bunch up the GT3s a bit more, allow for closer racing, but hopefully that would allow the GT4s to have a place where they know they are able to move and where they are able to retain their position and their racing line. Davin going a little wide as we saw before. James not wanting to give up the hunt just yet. Still very aggressive behind Davin. Davin holding the inside line. James and Mike are right behind him. Giancarlo Lenzi has lost out a bit as we see Lucky Leonard right in front of Jonathan Corkle and Pete Stepani. We're going to move back and spectate that fight. As I say this, Dan Lee going very slow. I don't suppose Dan has lost fuel, but that's an odd place for Dan to slow down. James Turnbull defending from Mike. Mike, not enough to make the move just yet. This is a side of Mike we've yet to see. He's very conservative on track, but it looks like tonight he's out 4 positions as he's right behind that Huracan. Looking back, it does look like Leonard has gotten ahead of Jonathan Corkle as Jonathan Corkle has fallen behind Pete Stepani. Very great driving from Mike, but as he's been unable to make the position, these guys being stuck behind that Lexus, which possibly has some damage, has allowed Giancarlo's enough time to catch up. if James or Mike don't make a move on the Lexus, the Porsche will get involved, and it will get a lot tougher for them, as Pete Stepani making a move on Leonard but deciding to back out. We're going to break away from this fight for just a second. And as soon as I say that, James Turnbull side to side with the Lexus. This might be the lap. No contact. You best believe I'm holding on tight because it's going to get a lot tougher. They're condensing a lot in this pack. Giancarlo's not finding the room. And Harrison Lynn, unfortunately, going for a spin. It looks like he was alone, so it's possible he just caught a lot of oversteer. We're going to check back on him and see if he maintains the lead in the GT4 class. I want to break from the fight, but I can't seem to do it. All right, we're going to give him to this final turn. Giancarlo Lenzi right on the inside of Mike. Not enough, pulls away. Mike going a little wide. Blocking one more time from the Porsche. James still hunting down the Lexus. There it is, Giancarlo Lenzi on the inside. Will Mike be able to move back, get the switch back? Seems to have avoided contact, but that might lose him out on time. Decides to give it up. Maybe not just yet. He's positioning himself on the inside. And it looks like he's lost a lot of time to make the lunge. We are going to break away very quickly. Pete Stepani now gaining a lot of time on Leonard Cacciola. Leonard running in that 13th slot. Now he is the luck man himself. Will that P13 be able to provide any sort of luck to him, or any bad luck to Pete in this case? It's no secret, Leonard is one of my favorites in this league. So I'm rooting for him slightly, but Pete is coming on strong. It's a great position by Pete. Side to side, he's gaining faster speed. Leonard, will he give it up? And he does. Great overtake by Pete Stepani, a lot faster on the exit. Great driving by Leonard as well, deciding when to back away. Ken Leonard going a little wider. Hopefully he gets a faster exit. Unfortunately, he chases him right behind, as now we see Mike Smith getting around Bruce Hopkins. Bruce, unfortunately, tonight being caught out in a lot of traffic. He's going to stay on the left side of the track. Hopefully this allows the GT3s to get around him. It doesn't look like he's able to put himself in a position, having to slow down a lot to let them by. Looks like he has found some room in front of Jonathan Corkle. Moving on back, Rob Ruggiero falling to P16. It's a bit unfortunate for Rob, as we did see a lot of pace from him. Pete Stepani with the drive-through. Unfortunately, that is due to track cuts, as we did see him a bit aggressive through the chicane when overtaking Leonard. Jason Ouellette in clean air. Dan Lee having found whatever issue it was he was suffering from. Unfortunately, he has lost about 10 positions. Adam Heller behind Mr. Universe. Carter as well, very aggressive tonight and running towards the back. Ed Berger in P21 ahead of Martin Warmington, as we see Warmington getting past Jeremiah Daly, followed by, I believe, is Adam Heller. Nope, that is James Turnbull. That is a weird place to see James, and this is why. It looks like James is lapping Martin Warmington. Thomas Knudsen, P23 in his own race at the moment. Bill Shaw, Shell Smith, as they are being approached now by Clark Muller, who is, I believe, still in P4, not yet made enough time to catch up to Joel Dallas. And it looks like Shell and Bill Shaw are fighting out for P24. Shell on the inside. These guys, oh, there it is, the contact. Ouch, that sucks. That, from what I can see, if it was not Bill having some sort of brake failure, which it looks like he's locking up a bit, it's possible he was allowing Clark to get through, but that's a very awkward place to do so. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt, and I do believe he has some sort of braking failure, as I can hear the brakes very loud on that McLaren. And we're going to move into the GT4 class. We see Robin Borden now attempting to get ahead of Harrison Lynn. This is a fantastic time to catch up with these guys. Harrison Lynn allows him through this time around. We saw him in Zandvoort not allowing Robin Borden to get by. So it looks like Harrison is making the conscious decision this time to let him through. Unfortunately for Charles, if he's not able to get by, and there it goes. Great job. The only reason I mention that is Harrison is a great driver and one of the few GT4s that definitely sticks the car out in front of the GT3s. And so, you know, I typically, you know, you should move out the way, but from what I've seen in the league so far, you know, it's anybody's race. So definitely put the car where it best suits you, if you're being safe, of course. And as we see for the GT4s, Jeremiah Daly now running in P20 in P2, pardon, for the GT4s. John Correa in P3. Bruce Hopkins bringing up the rear for the GT4s tonight. A couple guys we haven't seen much of behind the GT4s is the Huracan of K-Tai. It's possible he might have started out late, but that's a very weird place for him to be. And Conrad Abbott and Aiden Benitez being our two retirees of tonight's second event. Catching up one more time with our leader, Robin Borden. Great job staying ahead. Charles Saylor, unfortunately, has been caught out in GT4 traffic, as we see that he's lost a lot of time. Not only slightly behind Harrison Lynn, but behind Bruce Hopkins as well. Clark Muller in P4 not making up the room to catch up to Joel Dallas, as we now see Joel Dallas making a move on K-Tai and hopefully soon Martin Warmington to get through the traffic. These guys do move away to let him by.
Right,
now,
leader is on the final lap. Give it all you can.
Joel will also have to clear Harrison Lynn, but where he sits, I do believe without any mistakes, he will finish P3 tonight. Robin Borden on the final lap. And unfortunately, for Charles, he is nowhere to be found this time around. Joel Dallas now making it around Harrison Lynn. Now getting through Bruce Hopkins, which means he is not that far behind Charles Saylor. Robin Borden, I believe he'll play a lot cooler here, and I don't think he'll attempt to get by the pack in front. With this large of a lead, I don't think he will make the move. And we're going to watch him as he crosses the line, and then we're going to try to hunt down any last lap battles with the GT3s. As I do believe as he crosses the line, this will mean Harrison Lynn finishes P1 for the GT4s. And across the line, Robin Borden, P1, both events, taking the win home. Charles Saylor, P2 as well. And then here it is. The man himself, I believe my vote for driver of the day, Joel Dallas, in his first and second events tonight in the league, finishing P3. Great drive by him. Clark Muller, unfortunately, being caught out in a lot of accidents. He will finish P4. Nick Smoley coming in P5. It's been a somewhat of a controversial race for him, as there was a bit of contact and aggressive driving, but nonetheless, he comes in P5. Vicente da Silva still being hunted down by Steve Fisher, but it looks like Vicente will finish in P6 with Steve in P7. Christopher Greer doing a great job, making up one more position ahead of Giancarlo Lenzi coming in P8. Giancarlo right behind in P9. And I believe his highest finish yet, Lucky Leonard in P10, rounding us out. There it is, the yellow Porsche crossing the line. Great job by Leonard. Fantastic drive. Rob Ruggiero, P11. Again, from him, his second event. I believe there's more we've yet to see. Jason Willett in P12. Jonathan Corkle, one more time, losing out a lot of positions. James Turnbull, P14. Davin's third event, P15. Ed Berger, Pete Stepani right behind him. Carter Close now crossing the line in P18, having dropped down from, I believe, P4, P5. And I do believe that the rest were lapped, so we are going to simply hunt down a couple more, and I don't believe we will see any others on track. So that was a tough race. Definitely, I wish Nick would have been here tonight to just help me sort out the carnage, because, yeah, everyone came out tonight and no one gave in. So great driving nonetheless. A bit too aggressive, I would say, but you know, that's racing. So if you see the gap, you go for it. But hopefully we see these guys bring it down just a little bit more and make the move when it's safe. But, you know, congrats there to Robin Borden and Charles Saylor, as well as Joel Dallas. Joel, fantastic drive, man. Fantastic stint. You know, I do hope you stick around for season 5 in this league. I think if we see Robin and Charles move up, I definitely do think that we'll see a lot more from Joel Dallas. And a couple favorites, I guess. Leonard Cacciola, P10. I believe that's his highest finish, so great job there, Leonard. And unfortunate for the Lexus Bros tonight, Jonathan Corkle and Davin Sturdivant just kind of unlucky tonight. But kudos to Steve Fisher, definitely bringing on the fight to Vicente da Silva. And I believe there were a couple others, but I believe that'll be it for me tonight, guys. So anyways, thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. And, you know, if you guys have not joined the Discord, I forgot to do this last week, but I'm going to paste the link in chat. So be sure to, if you're not part of the Sim Racing 604 League, be sure to come by. I believe there are spots in the league if you want to race. There might not be at the moment, but there are always spots opening up. With the last 2 events coming up, I don't know how quickly you might be able to get added, but if you'd like to participate in Season 5, that is coming up shortly. So anyways, guys, that'll be it from me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys back next week. So see you then.